What's up, guys? Hades here. So 231 has absolutely dominated Throne of Supreme. They are all Mega Whales, all four of them. They beat some very, very strong opponents. And I want to talk about the builds that made it here, what they did to make it here, and how they have been playing so well. Now, there's two main builds, and I'm going to use LXI as the main comparison here because I think he's actually beaten some of the best opponents and used strategy, high-level strategy, to make this happen. Now, he beat our biggest whale on our server, and he beat Lawan on 136, one of the biggest whales on that server. Very impressive. And he beat someone on his own server 3-2. All 3-2. These are skill matchups when it comes down to mirrors, and then there's a little bit of strategy when it comes to what goes first and why. Now, the main build in this tournament that has gotten everyone to the top is this exact team. I've showed this team in the past. I'm going to show it again here. It's Ares with 2 legendary skills. These are the 3 best skills for Alex and Ares. It's Anubis with these 3 exact skills. If they face a mage, they make this resist. If they face anything physical, they make it Oaken. Fufei with these exact 3 skills. And I'm telling you, they all mirror each other exactly. They all do the exact same build. And these 3. Now, some of them do put in Fighting Master, and I've noticed that the Fighting Master team almost always loses in the mirror match. The reason being is there isn't a lot of crowd control in this team. If it was Loki, then they do need Fighting Master. Without Loki, you don't actually need it. So, when there's a mirror match, what actually matters? Well, it comes down to artifact bonuses, you know, 8% here. It comes down to equipment, right? When we max out these equipments and make them really, really good and get lucky, you know, looking for those red physical attacks, that's the players that usually end up winning. And we'll go over a few of those. Now, you do have to understand, in a mirror match like this, there's a lot of luck involved. And if you don't understand luck, it's for games, it's called RNG, random number generation. If perhaps this Ares on the left for LXI hits the 60% chance to proc knife through butter and the other guy doesn't, right? If this Ares doesn't, then you're going to then build a large energy lead on your main carries, and you're going to snowball the match. And that's just the way the game works. That's how almost all games work. That's also how crits work. If you stack crit rate, you have a higher chance to crit. But if you don't crit, you're probably going to lose, especially if they crit, right? Also, if you go first and you get Battle Frenzy off, then their first ultimate is going to be reduced by 50%, right? So all of these little things kind of tie into each other. And that's how these matches play out at the end. Now, the whales almost always put their main march at the end. You can see here, main versus main at the end. Now, I do want to say that the other teams don't make that much of a difference. What they've been doing for their second team is maxing out a Loki with the gear, with the setup, and then putting Ninetales next to him because of her buff. She recently got an increased damage flat. This wasn't there, and they just added 20% damage raw up front as a passive. That then lets Loki rapid fire off his infinity firepower and energy mastery. This typically wipes through all the other teams, and then at the very end, they fight each other. One of the only players that really swaps was LXI. And in this report here, he changed the main. This is the only other serious main team that I've seen that actually does okay. Wins probably a little more than half. I'd say 60-40. And it's Loki with Fufei. And all he does is swap the Loki with the Medusa, right? And then, you know, this is what he puts. And then what happens is if they don't swap to resist, it's an easy win. And even when they do swap to resist, it's still pretty easy. Because now you have to rely on Fufei ultimate to guard Medusa, or you have to put in Fighting Master. And somehow he knew to swap which is pretty impressive, and that's where the skill comes in. Because if you don't swap and Loki goes first, you're going to confuse and auto lose the game. Because if you get confused and ult your own team, you're going to auto lose. But even though, you know, he puts everything in, he has resist, he has fighting master, it still doesn't matter. I want to show you what this team looks like. Mirror matches aren't a great spectacle because it's just going to be one way or the other depending on those knife through butter procs. But you can see here, infinite firepower is one of the few things that can break through the defenses when that new aura that blocks 40% ultimate damage. It does not block infinite firepower damage as it's not an ultimate, it's a trigger skill. Then the Ares and Anubis are going to get some attacks. And actually Anubis and Loki are the best combo. And because they're such a good combo, this tends to be the result on those matches. So Anubis inflicts a bleed effect on the opponents and it does physical damage. The important part is he inflicts bleed. Loki says if the target is suffering from bleed or tear, the chance to confuse them is 25% higher. So they are a very nice combo together. And people use Anubis even with Medusa, right? If we look at the other report, the main team, this is the most common team, is this team. I actually think Anubis here should be Bjorn, because Ares and Medusa would get the lifesteal from Bjorn, and Anubis's bleed actually goes wasted. His bleed doesn't matter in these circumstances. That's something I don't see them doing, but I would like to see Anubis swapped onto the Loki teams. I think it'd be much better here than where it is right now. Now, what does this have to do with anyone here? Well, for all the middle big spenders and those looking for what legendary skills to pick, well, if you're focusing on Alex or Ares or any of one of that nature, the best skill is knife through butter, and then the second one you want is fully prepared. I've seen many Alex focused teams with these two skills that are extremely hard to fight. If you have a more complete team and you want to deny mages, you're going to want Divine Blessing. If you are running a backline carry, you're going to want Life Protection and Fountain of Life. And if you're running a mage, you're going to want Infinite Firepower and Energy Mastery. And if you're running Medusa, these are her three best: Eternal Battle Lust and Battle Frenzy. You use Battle Frenzy to combine with Eternal Battle Lust because it gives 4 procs up to your maximum 20. So your passive gives 4 and Battle Frenzy gives 4, and that's why those two are combined together. And that's how it goes. If you're running a mage, run the mage skills. If you want Alex or Ares, you're going to run these two skills. If you're running Medusa, you're going to want these two skills, which makes the game very niche. And then it's very easy. Divine Blessing, Fountain of Life, and Life Protection are the 3 that really bring the teams all together and make them as powerful as they are. What makes a main team is having all these legendary skills, right? 2, 2, 2, and 1. There are 7 of them. That's the problem with being at the very top of the game. You need to have 7 of them, and then you also need a team with Loki who has 2. We do have the finals here, LXI versus Jay. Go ahead and leave a comment down below who you think is going to win. And if you like these kind of videos, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll check you guys in the next one.